Yeah, this that entrepreneurial conversation where ideas flip the hustle into elevation. No filters, no cap, just lessons in motion. Pull up, lock in, this entrepreneurial conversation. Yeah.
So to my entrepreneurs out there, especially the ones that's out there that's in the early stages of entrepreneurship, or you are at a point where you want to transition your business into a brand, you got to understand, guys, it's a difference between a business and having a brand, right? So you got to understand, a business can make money and a brand creates what? Loyalty, right? The goal isn't just to get customer, it's to build something people remember, trust, and recommend. So you got to understand, if you want a business and you just in it just to make money, then you just going to have a business. But if you looking for longevity, you looking for to build a legacy for yourself, a legacy to leave behind, and people can remember, people recommend, people continue to join your brand community, what have you. This is what you're looking forward to do, is transition your business to a brand. But we're going to get into all that today on this episode. But before we jump it off, guys, you know what time it is, man. Grand rising to all my investors and stuff out there, man. Thank y'all for coming through, man, tuning in to another entrepreneur conversation for this lovely Monday morning for today. And today, man, we're going to be talking about is transitioning your business into a brand. And this is something that's very important because as an entrepreneur, if you've been thinking about it, or if you haven't even started yet, this is going to be a good episode for you to be able to get some understanding what it is, the difference between having a business and having a brand and what have you. And this is what it's here for, guys, man. So definitely we're going to have a good conversation. So go ahead and jump down in the comment section and let's get the conversation started. Let's converse. Let's get it going, guys. But other than that, before we jump into the topic of conversation for today, you know what time it is, guys. If you're listening to this show on our channel, and if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you subscribe to the Invest Media channel, and also make sure you hit that notification bell so you can be notified anything new that drops on this channel. And also, man, invest in hitting that like button, guys. It's free to invest in hitting that like button. But sorry about last week. Last Monday we didn't drop an entrepreneur show. We supposed to be dropping this one, but I moved it to this Monday. Had some things come up, but hopefully y'all took advantage of the Sidebar Convo radio show. So you had two full weeks of the Entrepreneur Conversation show. Matter of fact, a full week, because it dropped that Friday, and so you had that following week to also listen to it, jump down in the comment section, converse and what have you, answer the questions. So hopefully y'all took advantage of that. Hopefully y'all listened to it and what have you, man, because it's very important, man. And also, man, I don't want to forget, go ahead and hype these videos up so we can get in the algorithm. Hype the video up so we can get it in the algorithm, so we get more people to subscribe to the channel so they can be part of a great community of people. We can get this conversation flowing. We can continue to grow as a community and what have you, guys. But like I said, once again, man, thank y'all for being patient with me. Thank y'all for tuning in to these shows and really listening to the shows, man. Hopefully y'all getting something out of these shows, man, because it's this is a very important show, man, for all my entrepreneurs at the early stages of entrepreneurship, and also those that's looking for help as an entrepreneur and what have you, guys. But like I said, man, today we're going to have a great show today, guys. And the topic of conversation we're going to have today is transitioning your business into a brand. Because you got to understand, guys, there's definitely a difference between having a business and having a brand. So the first thing is define what your brand really stands for, right? So you got to understand, guys, a business sells product or services, right? Whereas a brand represents promise and reputation, right? So the thing about it when it comes to having a business, right? You only have your product and services that you are selling. You're not selling anything else. You're not worrying about a brand identity. You're not worrying about anything that's attached to having a brand or what it takes to build your brand and what have you. You have a business. You sell products and services, right? So you just in it to make money, right? And it's not really a promising thing that you're gonna have longevity and what have you, depending on the market you in and how your business is flowing and the products that you have and the services that you have. But a brand represents promise and reputation, which a brand identifies with the mission, the vision, and the core values, right? So you gotta understand a brand separates you from your business. Now you're building something that people can attach themselves to. You're building a community where people can converse and feel part of something, right? Now you're building a brand identity that people can identify with. You have a vision where you want to take this brand where people is always going to resonate with the brand because they know when they see the logo, they see the message, they know what that brand is and what it stands for and what it represents, right? So that's why like you see brands like Nike, people like when Nike first started, they had the word Nike, but eventually they took the Nike off. All you see is the swoosh. You see the I like to say the little check mark and what have you, right? But people, they don't need to put the Nike on there no more because people identify with the swoosh shine. People know what that is, right? They know that's Nike, right? Without them have to put the word Nike. So you building that mission, that you vision, core value. So everything ties into having a brand when you are implement them things. So this is when you are transitioning your business to a brand because you're looking to have longevity, you're looking for to build a legacy and what have you. So it's more than just a business now. It's more than you just want to make money. Now you want to turn this to something that people can really remember, trust, because that's the part about it. When you have a brand, you are building trust within people, right? And when you're building trust within people, that's when they become recurring customers. They continue to immerse themselves within your brand community, what have you. So ask yourself, what do people think of when they hear my company's name, right? So when people hear your company name, what do you want them to think of? What you want them to think about your company when they hear your company name, right? And another thing is, what feeling do I want customers to have? So what feeling do you want the customers to have when they experiencing your services, right? What feeling do you want them to have to be able to resonate with and what have you? So understand that people buy emotionally before they buy logically. Let me say it again. People buy emotionally before they buy logically. So if somebody is emotionally attached to your brand because it speaks to them, right, and they can resonate with the brand message and it feel like it's something, they have a voice within your brand, they have a community of people that they can converse with and share things with and what have you, right? So the next thing is create a consistent identity. This is when you're going to form the identity of your brand, right? So a professional logo. So now it's time for you to create a professional logo where when people see that professional logo, right, they understand what it is. They know what it is. They know what brand that is, what it stands for. Now you want to have consistent colors and font because people understand the buyer psychology and what have you, right? Colors do matter. Fonts do matter. Depending on what color you use this color, it might represent money. Use this other color, it might represent compassion. So colors represent different things, and fonts also catch the eye of people and what have you, right? So another thing is your brand voice. What is the voice of your brand, right? What is going to be the tone of your brand? What is going to be the voice of your brand when that is going to be able to resonate with people? It's going to speak to people in an emotional way where it's going to gravitate and pull them in within your brand community and what have you, right? And what is the message? Because your brand message got to be consistent across each and every platform, right? You can't have a different brand message from your Instagram page than your Facebook page. Everything got to go consistently together and what have you, right? Consistent messaging across every platform, which I just said. So you definitely want to have that consistent messaging across your platform, right? You don't want to have it all over the place because that's going to confuse people. Now they don't know what what the message of your business is, of your brand is, right? So you don't want to lead people to confusion and what have you, right? And another thing is high quality photos and graphics. These is very important, right? So when people go to your site, right, you want to make sure you have high quality pictures, right? You want to have graphics that pull to the people and make them want to become more interested, and and that may lead to them buying something from you and what have you, and creating recurring customers. So you want to have high quality photos because it makes your site look professional. It doesn't because that plays a role into how long somebody going to stay into on your site, right? They might come to your site and see that your pictures is low quality. You may have a missing arm. You may have a missing finger within, or you might chop the picture off of the main product that need to be shown in the picture. So different things can make people just leave your site because it look like this is bootleg. This look like it's been rushed. So this is very important when it comes to the customer eye, because this is about building your identity, and you want to be consistent. You want your identity to be consistent all the way across the board, right? So you got to understand, customers should recognize your brand without seeing your name. Like I just said, when I use Nike as an example, right? People should be able to recognize your logo without you putting your name on there. Like I said, when Nike first started, Nike put their name with the swoosh so people can start resonating. People can know it's Nike when they see the swoosh, right? But once people start to become familiar with Nike, guess what they did? They removed the Nike from the logo because they didn't need it no more, because people knew when they seen the swoosh that was Nike, right? So that's when you get to that point of your brand where people identify the identity of your brand. You don't need to put the name within there no more, because people know what it is when they see it, right? Just like Starbucks don't need to put Starbucks on their logo, because people know when they see the Starbucks logo, oh, that's Starbucks, right? So things, once your brand start to grow, people going to recognize the logo without you have to put the name on there, right? The next thing is build trust before build sales. Build trust before you build sales, right? So this is keep your promises, right? So keeping your promises is everything when it comes to your customers, right? To people who might be your potential customers or your clients or whatever it may be. What type of business you do, you want to keep your promises, because broken promises going to lead to people not wanting to deal with you, right? Because they can't trust you. Once the trust is broken, then it's going to be hard for them to gain them back or bring them in and what have you, right? And also deliver consistently. You want to deliver, and that's very important. Whatever you are doing for a customer, for a client, whatever you're doing, you want to make sure you deliver consistently. You want to show up. You want to make sure that you're building a good rapport with your customers and what have you, right? And be transparent, right? This is business. Things happen. So be transparent with your customer can understand when you being transparent and you having great communication between the two. Just say, for instance, something happened within your store or your warehouse where you had to push the orders back. Don't try to hurry up and try to push them out without being transparent. Like, hey, send an email, let them know, like, the power went out. We had a bad storm, so we had to delay your order and a lot of orders. So it's going to arrive late because we had to ship it out late because we had to fulfill your order first, right? So be transparent, or be transparent with them. Like, well, we not capable of doing this, but we can do alternate things. But we cannot do this design per se, whatever you're doing as an entrepreneur, whatever your business is, right? You want to be transparent. Let your customers know or your clients know, like, hey, this is what happened. You want to take ownership in it, and they would definitely understand rather than you not being transparent, right? Own your mistakes. You definitely want to own your mistakes. The mistakes is on you, so you want to own them. You don't want to put them off on your customers or anybody else. It's your mistakes. So own your mistakes. And another thing is focus on long-term relationship instead of quick transactions. You got to understand that quick transactions come here and there. Quick transactions is not promising to come back to buy from you again. So building long-term relationships is creating recurring customers, right? Or you building recurring clients that's going to come back and going to ask for your services again. Building long-term relationships is everything. Quick transactions come and go. They here and there, right? They're not promised to ever come back. You might see them 1 month and might not see them in the next 3 to 4 months. And sometimes you might not see them into a whole nother year. Recurring customer, you're going to see them come back multiple times every month and buy from you or ask for your service, right? So that's what's important about building a long term. When you are building a brand, you want to build long-term relationships. You want to create that recurring customer, recurring clients, and what have you, right? So trust is the foundation of every successful brand. Building trust. You want to be trustworthy, because once the trust is broken, that can cause a domino effect of other people leaving you, right? Or they going to your competitor, they going to other brand owners that do the similar thing like you do, right? So that's one thing you don't want to do is break the trust within the people within your community, what have you, right? Another thing is focus on customer experience. This is very important, right? Customer experience is everything from the time they on your site, from the time they buy from you, from the time you pack it up and ship it, from the time they receive it on their doorstep, from the time they open it up, right? You want them to have the best experience to where they want to experience that again. And they want to tell others to come to experience what they experience, right? Because when you get that good experience with something, right, you want to share that with people. You want to let people know, and you want to you recommend that to people like, I trust me, go to this site, buy from them. You won't not regret it. You will feel great about it, the experience that you get, right? So this is the part of the experience, right? A great experience, right, becomes free marketing. Think about it, guys. Communication is part of it. You definitely want communicate from the time they buy from you. You want to make sure they let them know that their product is on the way. You want, when they receive it, you want to do a follow-up like, hey, did you like what you received? Was it what you expected? Was the service that you receive, was it something that you was looking forward to, and what have you? Communication is everything, right? So when you are up and close and you are communicating with your customers, that's going to be a big plus to you, right? In packaging is everything too. So you want to make sure you are packaging to the point where it's going, their product, right? When they receive the product in the package that they have, they're going to feel great about the packaging because of the design, how it was packaged, how it arrived, right? And you also can use it as free marketing, right? You might slide a flyer in there with a promotional deal, QR code, letting them know what's up and coming in your business, in your brand, and what have you, or they part of the brand community. So the packaging, you can make that also experience from the time they receive the package to from the time that they open it. It's a whole big, grand, big finale type of thing where they've like, man, I want to feel this again, right? So that's what's very important. Customer service, which I talked about. Customer service, I had a whole episode about this, so definitely go and check that out, because especially if you at a point of your business, brand, what have you, and it's time for you to build you to hire you a customer service or create your customer service, that's a great episode for you to go and listen to. Is about customer service. So I'm not going to be too long about it, but customer service is one of the main things you definitely need to focus on, because your customer service is not on the defensive end. That's a misconception. Your customer service always should be on the offensive end. Like I said, go listen to the episode where I get deep. I talk about it in depth and what have you. So customer service is something that's very important. You want to make sure and follow up after the sale. Follow up emails, letting them know, ask them if what they received is what they expected. Did they like what they received and what have you? So any thing, if any questions, please email us or what have you. And problem resolutions, right? So definitely is something you want to make sure you have up to par, because that experience that your customer get, they're going to want to experience that again. So you want to make sure you're giving them the greatest experience as possible when it comes to them supporting your brand, right? So remember, people remember how you made them feel. Let me say it again. People remember how you made them feel. And that's true. People always remember, whether it's good, bad, ugly, indifferent, whatever it is. People are always going to remember as an individual, how you made them feel and what have you, right? Next thing is develop your brand story. And this is very important. Brand story is something. Look at Apple. Apple been telling the same brand story over and over each and every year, and people constantly buy phones from them, even though, yes, now people are built in to where they feel like, I like to call them, feel like the cool kids when you got an Apple phone. So also with the help of the brand story. So people connect with stories more than products. So like stories is everything. Look at sports. They create storylines to sell the games, right? So your storyline of your brand is going to have people connect with your brand because they feel like your brand story resonate with them. It's something that they want to support because they may experienced it. They know somebody experienced it. This is their story that's speaking to you, that you speaking to them and what have you. So you want to make sure that your brand story is something that's authentic, where people can resonate with and connect to, right? So the thing about it is share. This is what you do. You share why you started. Let them know why you started. It can be for multiple things. Like I said, if it's something that they can resonate to why you started, they gonna most likely going to connect with your brand story, and that's going to make them want to support your brand, right? Another thing is the challenges you've overcome, right? So people like to hear the challenges that you overcome, because there may be some challenges that they are going through right now that they may see that may help them overcome it, right? Or they may overcome the same challenges that you went through, right? And your mission, what is your mission? What is your mission? What are you trying to accomplish, right? Out of starting this brand? What is your mission to do? What is your mission to solve problems you want to solve and what have you, right? Another thing is the impact you're trying to make. What impact you trying to make within your brand community? What impact you trying to make within your market that you in? What impact are you trying to make for others that's going to solve problems for others, that's going to help others by connecting with your brand, right? So people support brands they relate to. So you got to make your brand relatable to the people you're trying to market to. Not saying you want to be authentic about it. Let me put it like that. You don't want to just create something that you feel like, okay, this is going to resonate to somebody, and this is not really your story. This is not something you really went through, because people can feel if you're being real or not, you are being authentic or not, right? So it's very important to understand that, guys. Another thing is, next thing, like you said, the next thing is become known for something. You want to be known for something, right? Don't try to be everything, because you cannot be everything. That's just like you throwing everything at the wall. Most of the time, nothing is going to stick. But when you throwing the right stuff at the wall, it's going to stick. So you cannot try to do everything, because that's not even realistic, right? So you got to ask yourself, what do we do better than anyone else? So what do you do better than anybody else that's within your market? What problems can you solve better than anybody else? What is the gap that you can fill the void in, that you can do better than anyone else, right? Yes, you may be doing the same stuff that everybody within your market is doing, but you doing it in a way where they cannot duplicate it. They cannot do it the way you doing it, right? Another thing is, why should customers choose you? Why should customers choose you? Why should I take my hard-earned money and support you? Why? And most of the time, if when a customer choose you, is because you are solving a problem for them, right? Most of the time, if you are creating something that solves problems for people and is filling that void, they going to support you, right? So you got to understand, you have to create products, services that solve problems for people, right? Not It's not just all about making money, it's all about solving problems for people. What or how are they benefiting from using your services? How are they benefiting from buying your products and what have you, right? So you got to think about that as a brand owner, right? So own one lane before expanding. You want to carve out one lane that you can own, that you can dominate, that no one else can duplicate, right? And go ahead, before you try to expand, you want to execute. You want to execute that and to the highest level before you move on, right? That's one thing. A lot of people like to move on before they master, might as well say master, not actually, but master that one lane that they have built for themselves. Once you master that, then expand. A lot of people like to move on before they master at what they trying to be good at, be great at, right? Or be the best at, right? Another thing is, next thing is create content that educate, right? So don't only post advertisement, because people don't want to make it feel like you just selling stuff to them, right? They don't want to feel like it's a sales pitch. That's going to be the quickest way to turn people off, because people are tired of people trying to sell things to them, right? So the thing about it is, you want to create content that people can resonate with. It's going to stop the scroll. Content that's going to educate them on what your service is, what your products is, and what have you, right? So that is, you want to share tips about your products, tips of using this product, tips on why you should use this product, right? Or your services and what have you. Behind the scene moments. People love to see behind the scenes. People want to see what goes on behind the scenes, what the start and finish of how you make this product, what is the finish of the product and what have you, how you make your products, looking at, or you showing them your services. If you have your own lawn care company, brand, and what have you, right? How you cut the grass, how you, once you're done cutting it, what do you use to finish off blowing the grass, doing edge up and what have you. So people like to see behind the scenes stuff because it makes it feel like they part of something. People like to see the authenticity of a brand, right? Customer successful stories. This is very big, right? So people like to see successful stories, especially when it comes to brands and customers that support your brand. They want to see customer successful stories because they want to feel that same success that this customer, couple customers that are sharing their story, they want to be able to share that same story of success that they can get from your brand. So that's very important. Industry insights. What's the industry insights that you in and what have you? What's the importance of it and what have you? And then you definitely want to have a frequently asked question, which people call it FAQ, right? So questions that is already been pre-made. Questions that people generally ask. The most popular questions that's consistently asked. You want to make sure you already have that, right? Or questions you think they're going to ask too. So they can always go to that section. They can look at the answer for themselves, right? So it's very important, man, for you to be able to, and this comes with, building trust. You having brands that become trusted resources. So this is something you trying to make your brand be a trusted resource that people can come to, right, and get information from. They can get entertainment from. They can get a positive message from. They can get happiness from, and what have you, right? So it's very important, right? So the next thing is build a community, not just a customer list. And I in the past, I've made an episode in one of my older videos about having a community. And this is something that's very important. Sometimes people build their brand community before they actually start building a brand, right? And some people use their personal brand, which is yourself, to start that first. Then they branch off and build their brand behind after they become successful in their personal brand. They end up building a brand around themselves and what have you, right? So some people build a brand community and start their brand that way, because now you have a brand community of people that you can bounce ideas off of, and that they can definitely tell you what, hey, we would like for you to do this. We will support you. Is it by any chance that you will create this and what have you? So it's good to have a brand community because it starts conversation. Now you helping people, you conversing, you bouncing off ideas, you have other like-minded people within your brand, and you helping people and what have you. So encouragement when it comes to your brand, right? Conversations, which can be lead to bigger conversation, great conversation, help, inspiration, what have you, right? Feedback is everything. You need feedback from your services, from your product, because now you have a brand and community of people that can tell you what you can add to even make this better, or what you can take away where it won't make it so difficult and hard to understand or confusing, what have you, right? So this is what is so important to have in a brand community, because you can have feedback and conversation right there 24 hours, man. And reviews is everything, right? People can review your product, review your services, review your brand. And this is what's important, because you got to understand the people that's within or immersed within your brand is going to almost sell your product for you, sell your services for you. It's going to help you bring more customers or eyes to your brand, because the good things that they speak in about your brand and what have you, right? So that's what's very important, guys. Understand, community creates loyal brand advocates. Let me say it again. Community creates loyal brand advocates. Like I said, people that's immersed within your brand community are going to be your advocate. They're going to advocate for your brand. They're going to speak highly about your brand. And guess what? That may help pull in 5 people to come support you. 5 from this person in your brand, another 5 from another person that's within your brand community, just pulling people in, pulling eyes in. Not saying they might buy something from you, but just to have the eyes on there. Now they might bookmark you within their platform, or what web services they using, because they might come back to it later on, right? So you got to understand, this is what's important to having a brand community, the community of people that is accessible to you 24 hours, that's willing to help you, right? So that's very important. The next thing is invest in your reputation. Reputation, everything. And you got to understand, man, you do not want to damage your reputation, especially when it comes to you, because you your brand, you represent your brand, right? Anything that happens to you, it can affect your brand. So it's all about your reputation, especially your reputation online, because like I said, man, social media is undefeated, and you don't want that bad reputation online and people speaking bad about your reputation, because that can cause people not to come and support you. You got to understand, man, and this consists of, you want to monitor Google reviews, right? You want to see, and a lot of, you had some times where people will write bad reviews on purpose. You might have somebody that just don't like you and write a bad review just on purpose, just to try to sabotage you and what have you, right? And you got some people that might be just crash outs. Things happen, right? Some people may not even give you the time to make it right within what may happen between you and them, right? And before they go on social media and start crashing out, right? So you got that comes with the territory of having the business, the brand, and what have you, right? So you want to monitor Google reviews to make sure, okay, everything is good. But like I said, when you have a customer service on the offensive end, they're already going to make sure, because they sending followed up emails, they checking in on customers and what have you, so they can they can always fix the problem right then and there before the problem hits social media or online, right? Facebook reviews, you want to make sure you look at Facebook reviews, testimonies, right? And word of mouth, right? So your reputation, your online reputation matters, right? So tutorials is a good thing. People have tutorials of, okay, of there's experience with your business, your brand, and what have you. Word of mouth. Word of mouth is still everything. I'm gonna do an episode about word of mouth because people you have some people out here that think word of mouth is the old way, underestimate word of mouth. Word of mouth is still one of the best ways of getting people eyes on your business. Word of mouth is every. That's why I say having a brand community. That's word of mouth because people telling other people about your brand, about the community that they immerse with, and they feeling like they in a place where they have a voice, that people hear them, that they can reach out to the brand owner and speak to them anytime within the community, and they can receive the help that they looking for and what have you, right? So word of mouth still is the way to go. Never throw out word of mouth, because word of mouth is something that's still a marketing strategy that you definitely should be using, is word of mouth. And understand, a strong reputation becomes your best marketing tool, because like I said, if you have a strong reputation, that's going to always, you can market a strong reputation because people know you solid, people know you loyal, people can trust you, people know you are operating within integrity and what have you, right? So the next thing is stay consistent over time, because you got to understand branding isn't built overnight, guys. So don't think this is going to be a microwave process, right? It's all about long term, right? So you are in it to have a brand for the longevity and what have you. So this is a long term investment when you are transitioning your business into a brand. This is not something that is going to be, once you transition into a brand, next thing you know, you're going to wake up the next day and this is going to be something that's amazing overnight. No, this is about long-term longevity, because you building a legacy. So keep showing up consistently is what you need to do as a brand owner. You got to show up consistently every day, because understand this, other brands that you've seen, we see a lot of brands online, right? The difference between you and them, right, may be because they show up every day. Your brand might be killing a brand, from the products, from the website and what have you, because let's be real, we all seen a lot of brands online. They product doesn't really look like anything. It's not really nothing. The site you go there, it's just everything is just all over the place and what have you. But the difference between you and them, they show up every day. Because the thing about it is, when it comes to social media, the people that show up every day, that's going to be the people, that's going to be who people support. That's who people going to start gravitating to, right? So it's important for you to show up consistently, right? So show up with the same quality, same message, right? Same customer experience, right? Same professionalism, right? Definitely show up with the same professionalism. You have a brand. You represent your brand. The people that you have within your team represent your brand. So you got to make sure everything from top to bottom is consistent, right? Like I said, from the quality, from the message, to the customer experience, to the professionalism, right? So consistency builds familiarity, right? And familiarity builds trust. So this is what's important, guys. You want people to become familiar with your brand, and this is what is going to build a trust with you, your brand, between your brand and your customers, right? Building trust is very important, guys. The next thing is think bigger than today's sales, right? So brands think long term. You want to think long term. Like I said, this is not a microwave setup, right? So you got to ask yourself, will this decision strengthen your reputation, right? Will customers remember this experience? Does this align with our values, right? Because every interaction either builds or weakens your brand. So you want to make sure every interaction is consistent with the last interaction. You want to make sure the experience that they remember is going to be the same that they receive next time, right? And you want to make sure the decision that you making, right, is going to strengthen your reputation, not do damage to your reputation, right? And you want to make sure that it lines whatever lines with the value of your core values when it comes to your brand, right? So you got to understand that, guys. And the last thing is build a brand culture internally, right? And that's something that I also talked about is your brand culture is very important, guys, when it comes to your culture that you have within your brand. Because if you have a culture that's not stable, not consistent, you have a culture, really, you just don't really have a culture. Your people that's within your business or on your team don't have anything to follow. So they're not going to represent the culture that should be of your brand and what have you, right? So you got to understand, if you have a team, you got to train them your values, right? Because like I said, your team represents your brand, right? So you want to make sure everything that they doing is going to be of the values that you have as your core values. That's going to align with your core values of your brand. And so it's very important. That's why it's important for you to invest the money in training and let them know this is my core values. This is what I want you to buy by and what have you, right? And create excellent internal communication is very key. You want to have a team that communicates because you have different parts, moving parts when it comes to your brand, different people doing different things. So you want to make sure the communication is consistent across the board, right? And also, you want to reward customer focused behavior, right? So it's all about customer focused behavior, and that's what's very important. Your customers come first, and you want to make sure your customers is getting treated the way that you expect them to be treated, because this is what your values are. This is what your customer service stand for: excellent care of your customers, right? You want to make sure your customer service is on the offensive end where your customers are receiving the best experience as possible, guys. So you got to understand, employees are the ambassadors of your brand. Let me say it again. The employees are the ambassadors of your brand. Your employees represent your brand. If they are on clock, off clock, they represent your brand. So you have to tell them to be mindful, right? When they on social media, before they crash out or they out here crashing out or wilding out, they represent your brand, and that can affect your brand, can affect you as a brand owner, where you have to spend money to clean up the mess. So it's very important to understand that, guys. But thank y'all for coming through, man. Tuning in to another entrepreneur conversation, a great conversation for today. So hopefully y'all took something from this conversation, anything that's going to help y'all, or you at the starting point where you are trying to figure out are you ready to transition your business to a brand. Hopefully this helped you. If you have to go back, listen to a couple of times to even get more information, get more understanding, this is what it's here for. So that's why it's important immerse yourself in the comment section. Jump down, start the conversation. You never know, somebody may come drop some good information for you to help you make that transition even more smoother, maybe even more smoother than what the information you received in here. So that's what's so important, man. This is what this community building media channel is for, man. We building communities of entrepreneurs. We want to make sure that you are a tip top entrepreneur ready to create a brand for the long term. And this is what it's all about, guys, man. So like I said, man, thank you for coming through. And before I close this out, man, understand this, man. Businesses compete on price. Brands compete on value, right? If you focusing on creating unforgettable experiences, building trust, staying consistent, and giving customers a reason to believe in your mission, you'll stop chasing customers and they'll start seeking you out, guys. And I have questions I'm going to leave down in the comment section. You can answer them. And this questions, when I do leave in the comment section, this is questions to get the conversation started amongst our community of entrepreneurs, or I like to call y'all my investors of self. You see the hat, investors of self. I'm thinking about, making some more of these hats and, start selling them here on this channel, Investor of Self hats, because this is what we are, investors of self. This is what we represent. We are investors of ourselves. So definitely the questions that I'm gonna have for y'all, I'm gonna leave it down in the comment section. So the question is, what separates a business from a brand in your opinion? What brands do you admire and why? What is one thing you're doing today to build your brand, right? Is your business memorable, or is it just an option, right? And what legacy do you want your brand to have? So these questions I'm going to leave down in the comment section. So jump down in there, answer the question. Let's get the conversation started, guys. But once again, thank y'all for coming through and tuning into another entrepreneur conversation. Also, man, we're gonna have a new episode, a new sidebar convo for this week. Sorry about the mix up, but we're gonna have a new fresh episode this Friday for the sidebar convo radio show, guys. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Yep.